The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. When the Magi had departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream and said, "Rise, take the child and his mother, flee to Egypt, and stay there until I tell you. Herod is going to search for the child to destroy him." Joseph rose and took the child and his mother by night and departed for Egypt. He stayed there until the death of Herod, that what the Lord had said through the prophet might be fulfilled. "Out of Egypt I call my son." When Herod had died, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt and said, "Rise, take the child and his mother and go to the land of Israel, for those who sought the child's life are dead." He rose, took the child and his mother, and went to the land of Israel. But when he heard that Archelaus was ruling over Judea in the place of his father Herod, he was afraid to go back there. And because he had been warned in a dream, he departed for the region of Galilee. He went and dwelt in a town called Nazareth, so that what had been spoken through the prophets might be fulfilled. He shall be called a Nazarene. The Gospel of the Lord.
I came across an article some years ago and came across it again this last week as I was preparing for this homily. It struck me, and I sort of filed it away for the Feast of the Holy Family. I'm not sure exactly. In any case, this is what it was. And so it's not anything new. It's something that we all know and many of us have talked about. But it had some numbers in it that were disturbing and grab your attention. It's talking about how, as modern human beings in the modern world, there's a sort of epidemic of loneliness. We've become more and more isolated. This is not anything new. We should all recognize this, but it's good for us to really see what the problem is and why it's a problem. In the article, it talks about how it was a huge heat wave in Europe back in 2003. Europe and in France and Germany and other countries, this is modern. They have all the technology. They have running water. Many places have air conditioning. There's all sorts of social services. But that year, something like 35,000 people died in this heat wave. That's a large number. And in France, they had the largest number. 14,000 people died just in France alone. And this disturbed the people, and so they tried to figure out what happened. What happened so that people died in something that was somewhat preventable? How could we do better? And what they discovered, it was not so much material poverty that caused it, but rather more of a social poverty, a poverty of relationships. Most of these people that died didn't have anyone to come and check on them and make sure they were doing okay. So they were just in their apartments, air conditioning, either they didn't have any or it wasn't working well, and they died. And people didn't find out until after the fact. And many of them even did have family on vacation at the beach during the heat wave, and their parents died. And then it even says that some of them even requested that the funeral be pushed back even longer so that they could finish up the vacation that they had scheduled before they could come home and bury their parents. This is a problem, and it's not just in France. In Japan, there's a huge number of people that have no children. This has been true for many years there in Japan for whatever reason, and so something like 4,000 elderly Japanese people every year die without being discovered until there's sort of a smell that their neighbors discover. And they go and investigate. This is sad. There's multiple reasons for it, but I think one of the big reasons is actually because we in the modern world are relatively wealthy and comfortable. And we have all sorts of conveniences, and so we could easily fall into the idea that we could take care of ourselves and we don't need to worry about other people. I just take care of myself. And we can do this because, especially nowadays, I could just go on my app, order food, it's delivered to my front door. I don't even have to see anyone. I could just open it up, pull it in, and that's it. That might be my interaction with the outside world that day. That's sad. We're not made to live that way. And it teaches us also that, well, if I could take care of myself, I don't need to think about anyone else. That's one of the reasons why God gives us families. He made us that we require families. Actually, as an aside, this is one of the reasons why the church has always been against in vitro fertilization and those other kind of more invasive kind of things, because they see that, no, a child deserves to come from the loving union of their own father and mother. That's why. Because we're made for that. One thought that I had of what a good family looks like is a proper family grows. If a family is healthy, the natural result of it is that it grows. And first, of course, biologically, children come from their parents. And that's a good thing. That's a beautiful thing. I'm happy that we have so many children here, and I heard a little one making a little bit of noise back there. I'm happy. I'm glad that we have the children here, and even glad that they're making some noise, especially the little ones. So if you start making noise, then I'll ask you to step out, right? You're old enough, you know better. But for the little ones, that's just what they do. That's appropriate. That's good. Because they're alive. Little baby Jesus, I'm sure, cried because that's how babies communicate that there's an issue and they need something. Okay. The two examples come to mind of, with the idea of family grows, both children, but there's another sense where a family naturally extends outward. It's a practice of love for those in the family, but when it's done well, it then extends out. Two examples. One is from my own family. We're not perfect by any means, but there was something about my family that I thought I was very thankful for growing up. Our house usually was where the neighbor kids, our friends, would come and we'd play at my house. If we weren't outside, more times than not, we were at my house. And that's because the children were welcome. I remember at least one time with one of my friends, hey, why don't we go to your house and play? And I'm like, oh, okay, fine. And we went there, and from the beginning, I kind of got the sense of, oh, yeah, I don't feel like your mom really is happy that we're here. Okay, we'll play quietly up here and not bother her. Okay, right, yeah, next time will be my house. Which is sad. Another one, and I'll talk more about her in coming homilies because she played a big role in my life. When I first moved here to Colorado in 2007, from a coworker's friend who was living there as well, I got a room that I rented at Grandma Pat's house. Grandma Pat was an amazing woman. She had her 80th birthday party, and all the family was there, which was more than 100 direct descendants. She had, I believe, great-great-grandchildren by the time she died, or maybe great-great-great-grandchildren. I forget. The family tree was crazy. She raised 7 of her own. One she had to put up for adoption, came back to when he was like in his 60s, came back into their family. And then she raised 4 others who were the grandchildren of her second husband's previous relationship, whose parents died tragically. And then she opened up her home to brand new people that needed a place to live, like myself. So Thanksgiving or Christmas or St. Patrick's Day, her birthday, she threw a big party. There could be 70 people there. 40 pounds of corned beef there on the stove. You're not sitting at one table, obviously, so it's grab a plate and you're on your own. Enjoy. And I was able to be part of that. And part of the beauty was that her family's tree is crazy. I'd never completely understood it. So I felt like I could fit in just as well almost as anyone else. And I did. Because the family had that much love and that much joy and openness that, oh, you live at Grandma Pat's. Come on in. Who are you? Tell me about yourself. Or you're, dating someone in the family. Welcome, come on in. It's a crazy family, but you're welcome here. I know two of her sons, I don't remember the details, or wasn't around for them, but heard just a little bit that they made a sort of truce, or an armistice, kind of. They're not going to talk about politics. That led to literal fistfights. Okay, we don't talk about that. Brother! And they were able to love each other because they were able to put that aside. And there was something good about that. Or one, I'll have to tell you the details more later, but the one she had to put up for adoption, it was a long story, but he came back into their life and no one in the family knew except her direct children. So they knew they had a brother out there. When he came, immediately he said this. He felt an immediate connection because it was genuine. You're a brother. Come, tell me about yourself. We need to catch up. And they were best friends immediately. It was beautiful. There's something about family, when it's done well, that naturally grows and extends outwards and brings people in. Whether it's someone who had to be put up for adoption, or a new spouse, or the neighbor across the street that doesn't have much family, it grows. And so I encourage you to do the same to the ability you can in your family. And then one last thing. I think we could learn from the Holy Family. Of course, they had a beautiful family. It was not ideal. Jesus was born and laid in a manger. That's not ideal. Shortly afterwards, they had to flee into Egypt, where they knew nobody and had no work and no home and didn't speak the Egyptian language and all of that. Okay, there were some problems there. But I find it interesting that after they came back and settled in Nazareth, we know only one thing. When Jesus was 13, they kind of lost him and they rediscovered him in the temple, and then nothing else until he was 30 years old. Surely more things happened between 2 and 30 other than getting lost in the temple, right? There was a lot more. One of the things that I think that we could easily overlook, because it was the normal, boring life that they would have had, but it would have been beautiful. So I imagine this. One of those days when life is just difficult, there's sorrows or pains or problems or whatever. We've all had them. Just imagining walking through Nazareth. I just need to take a walk, clear my head. And I go down the street where Joseph and Mary have their house. Now, in the Middle East, especially at this time, hospitality was crucially important. It was one of the greatest virtues. And so they would have been very hospitable and welcoming. But I'm going to guess Mary and Joseph were able to do it one step better. They were going to be the kind of people where if you knocked on the door, it's like they were waiting for you. Oh, come on in. You're welcome. Here, take a seat. Would you like something to drink? Maybe Mary is just kneading dough for later that day. And she's like, I'll put more on if you would like. And I imagine one day coming in and just saying, no, Mary, I don't need anything. Do you mind? Can I just sit here? Can you go back about your business, making bread or sweeping the floor or whatever? Can I just sit here? Maybe baby Jesus is sleeping here. Can I just sit next to him? And Mary would understand with a good motherly heart, just a small smile, oh, you're welcome. And she'd go about her business. And I just have to imagine watching her it would just be good. Because this house would be a warm, welcoming place. There would be order there. It wouldn't be spotless. It's lived in. But it would be warm and comfortable. The chair would be ready for you. And both her and Joseph would be doing whatever their little tasks are for the day, would be done well, with care and joy and love. So it would be beautiful to watch Joseph work in his workshop. It would be beautiful to watch Mary even sweep the floor, because is just done well and good. And I imagine just sitting there and just feeling that warmth, because that's what a family home should be. There should be peace and welcome and love and joy and even quiet when nothing needs to be said. It would just be good. I invite you to ponder your family, your home, and what can you do to make your family, your home, a little bit more like the Holy Families, so that if someone comes from outside, they knock on the door unexpected, you can, with joy, welcome them and give them a little bit of a refuge from the crazy world, whatever sorrows or suffering that they have. Can they find some rest with your family?